I spit hot fire and stuff like that, right? I know that I'm immortal, but my body will eventually go back to the earth.
Okay, I'm just asking this, but how do you know? You believe this, but how do you know for sure?
So,
and you're going to give me the Bible scripture, but how do you know outside of just reading this book?
And
how do you know?
I can only say this, right?
Okay.
There's a story in here, a parable, where Christ spit on the ground, made clay.
Put it on the clay, heal the blind eye.
You've heard of it.
Yes, I've heard of it.
And so I look at that and I think it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, why did he do it that way? And I believe his spit represents his words. You know,
his spit?
Yeah, artistically, I believe it represents his words. You'll hear rappers say, I spit hot fire and stuff like that, right? I believe the reason why he chose to mix his spit with the dirt is because he said that our bodies are made out of the dust of the earth. So he's saying, in order for us to see, we have to mix his word with our body, but in a specific place, our eyes. Because if we take the Bible and put it to our elbows, we can't perceive anything, right? So that wasn't enough, right? He actually told the blind man, go wash in the pool, right? And so I think after putting his word to our eyes and then obeying it, then we see the world for what it really is. Then we know. Because reading it is not enough. I hear atheists say they've read this book 5 times and they still don't believe. And so I have to ask, well, did you apply it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
every day.
That's something. You guys, do you think he's immortal?
No.
Is that
well? I mean, we all know what he was trying to say. His immortal soul, the body will die, but his soul will go on. He's gonna, and I know he thinks he's going to that happy place. He's the guy. He's the one of the ones who are going to be, you know, going to live with Jesus and sing his praises in heaven forever. So
it's a nice fantasy to have.
It is conceivable that that video that we took will survive for eons and eons and
True
eons.
enough. Yeah.
Maybe
you could say he
could be bouncing around out
that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would, you know, be one definition of.
He won't know about it.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
I would definitely say not.
Yeah. So Jesus, what's Jesus? He's doing. What is he doing? Spitting on people.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that guy.
I think it was part of the rap.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I've had somebody spit on me on accident once. No. I didn't like it. And I also went and washed myself afterwards because who wants spit in your eye? You know?
Yeah. Well, he was saying it's artistic.
Yeah.
There wasn't any actual spit or dirt, although he did say Jesus chose to mix the spit with the dirt, which implies he's taking a literal interpretation, but then he says, no, it's artistic. But, like, how are we supposed to determine what part of the Bible is artistic and what part is...
That's a tough one, man.
And if it's artistic, was it meant to be true? Yeah, exactly. You know, art is not always meant to be something that's, you know, true within, you know...
Well, I think that's...
Society or reality.
I think that he would argue that it is not about being, you know... It's done in an artistic way, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
It's his truth.
The truth being...
It's his truth.
Well, he thinks it is the truth.
Well, I got to read a little something from the book of Mark, chapter 8, verses 22 through 26. Jesus spit on his eyes, and the blind man then saw men, but they look like trees. What the fuck, Jesus? I think you messed that one up. Jesus seems to have this habit of using his spit to yank people's chains. Okay? That was, I can only say that's a literal deal. That is not metaphorical. So...
you saw the men as trees? I mean, I could see that being metaphorical. I don't know whether it was intended to be or not, but of, like, all the things, like, that's pretty out there.
That's out there. That's out there.
He saw the men as trees? Did he see them as ents?
Well, I mean, the guy sounded like he was trying to say, you know, it didn't really make a lot of sense, but he was saying, you know, Jesus spit on the dirt, mixed it, put it in this guy's eyes because it's a metaphor for us needing to open our eyes, read the Bible. We can't read with our elbows. We got to read with our eyes. Well, no shit, Sherlock. You can't read anything without your eyes. It doesn't make...
Oh, that's not true.
Well, you can.
Blind people...
Braille.
They didn't have Braille back in the day.
Braille, yeah.
Blind people can read all the time.
Right,
well,
exactly.
They didn't
so what does that say for blind people, you know?
Back in the day, but blind people could still read things because anything that was written was either carved or it was something on something else, not like ink on paper necessarily. There was a difference in texture.
I hear you. It was
so,
graven. So
yeah.
maybe Jesus should have spit on someone's hand, and then is that what we'd do in that case?
I was just arguing that you could actually find someone out there who knows Braille really well, and if they use their elbow to try and read a Braille Bible, I bet they could get a lot of it. Yeah, maybe not 100% because your fingertips are much more sensitive than your elbow. But I mean, it's just another point that is kind of moot that he made. Just read with your elbow. Well, maybe
I haven't seen that before, but I would hope in the times that he's referring to, someone could read. Not everyone was able to, though, right?
Yeah, definitely.
The literacy was not a whole big deal back then for everyone.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a big deal at all. So, yeah, most people couldn't read. Most people, I guess, probably most of the population couldn't read back then at that time.
So hopefully somebody could tell you the good word.
Well, I mean, that's what they still do today, even though people can read, people are still just taking other people's word on it. It's their preacher, whoever that person might be, standing up there. People aren't reading it, whether they're, I'd like to spit in some of their eyes and see if they'd start reading it, but, but, I mean, they're not, it doesn't matter, they don't want to read it, or they, it's a tough read. It is a tough read, so people people get discouraged because they can't understand it. Lord, I mean, I couldn't understand, so much of it, but a lot of it you can if you just persist. But yeah, I don't know, his whole thing about spitting hot fire, and I'm not sure. Like I said, his point was, you have to read it. You have to read it. It's true, and you need to read it.
You need to believe it.
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta. It's not going to work for you if you don't believe it. There are atheists that have read it several times,
right? And
he says, we should really apply it.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of, to me, that's naive and it's insulting, because, I mean, I tried to be a Christian for the vast majority of my life, went to church, read the Bible, but it never rang true. That's the thing, it never rang true. No matter how much a preacher told me, no matter how much I sat down with somebody who was a whole lot more, whether it was another preacher one-on-one, a preacher one-on-one, whatever, and I tried. It never rang true. I always kept going back to first of all, how do you know, and how can we trust this book that was written 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago?
Translated, retranslated, books that were removed, and it just always came, and plus all the horrible crap that was in it, I couldn't get past that stuff, and how can you believe this? Well, you're just asking me to take your word for it. That's what you're saying to me. Faith.
You're saying, take my word for it. You, that man who thinks he knows what the Bible says, who thinks he knows and understands and can interpret it correctly, is trying to tell me and everybody else, sitting with me, listen to me. I know. Y'all listen to what I say.
Yeah, and when he says, you have to apply it, which parts?
Right.
Which parts do I apply?
Right.
The part on owning slaves?
I don't have any. Yeah,
perhaps?
I don't have any slaves. How am I supposed to apply the part about not?
Well, damn it, get some.
Yeah, I mean,
how about we go to the 10 Commandments? These are supposed to be like the big deal, right? Like, where do you get your morals without the 10 Commandments? Hey, graven fucking images, okay? You're doing it wrong. If you're watching this on the TV right now, there are graven images coming to you.
Constantly.
You got a problem.
Yeah,
that's not biblical.
Yeah, and so what? Like the first 3 of the commandments are all about, hey, you guys, y'all just better, I'm the guide, it's not about morality, and it's not about, how to treat one another with respect and care. It's
the very first commandment.
Yeah, it's about, I am your God, and y'all best do what I say and honor me, so it's about him. So, you could really, I don't know what. Thou shalt not kill. Yeah, that's one. Thou shalt
we
not
figured
steal.
that out.
Yeah, that's one too. But I didn't need those. I didn't need the Bible or the 10 Commandments to tell me that. That's something that comes naturally.
It was self-evident.
Yes, absolutely.
In other countries, people figure out killing other people maybe not such a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking property that doesn't belong to you. There's going to be consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want I don't want another person to come take my property, so I'm not going to take another person's
Before the 10 Commandments came, these people probably figured all that out. on their own, right?
Yeah, I mean, because before that, I mean, was everybody just going around killing people at random just because, I want your donkey. Got your donkey, I mean, was that a thing?
That's not how you build a society, man.
Right, exactly.
That stuff's not going to, that's like some Mad Max stuff right there. That's not going to last long.
I would definitely say that, yes, that stuff definitely did happen.
Sure,
it still happens
now.
today. People get killed over their car.
And it happens Christians that are doing it. Christians that are doing those horrible things.
I mean, there are some, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
there are hard times in the world, but when people come together and say, hey, man, I respect you. Let's respect each other and do our own thing.
What?
You start to have some community.
What? No.
Yeah.
I don't see how that could possibly work.
That's the theory anyway.
It is, and with Christianity, and we keep saying Christianity, and I think in general we're not talking about just Christianity, we're talking about religion in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're different.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. They're all different, of course, but we keep saying Christianity. But, it's when you're setting up these groups like Christianity does, like Islam does, like, other religions do, and they say, these are our beliefs, these are the correct beliefs. You must come to our belief for you to be either a good person, a moral person, or for you to, have a good life. You must come to our belief. And when that happens, then of course you're going to have people who are committing, genocide in the name of whoever their God is. Yeah. Of course you're going to have, people who think they're better than another group because of what their religion
tells them they're the chosen ones.
When the book spells it out, you can own slaves, and not only can you, but I'm going to tell you to go kill all of those other people over there and take their women, and the ones unknown by man are going to be your slaves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sets up it's a hard time for people.
Right. I mean, and then the part about, and of course I'm not good at quoting actual scripture, but it said, take revenge on these other people. You're going to go over there, you're going to kill all the men, all the women, you're going to keep the virgins for yourself. You're going to bring them home. They're going to be your slaves, your sex slaves, To me, that is just so obvious. It's so obvious. Some dude wrote that knowing, and wanting that. He wanted that. Yep. He wanted sex slaves. He wanted to have them. He wanted to convince other people to help him to do that, and it worked, apparently, you know what I mean? So,
it's hard to put that into practice in these times. But if you're in a very religious society, maybe somewhere in the Middle East, maybe that's still a thing you can do. But this kid is saying, look, man, you got to put this into practice. All I'm saying is, if you put this shit into practice, you're going to have a hard time. Yes, check that out. In the Middle East, they're putting it into practice. How's that working out?
Right, exactly. Obviously, and I always use the example, and it's so easy to use, of the subjugation of women, especially within Islam in the Middle East.
It's a tough time.
I mean, come on. Women just got the right to be able to drive a car.
Sort of.
In certain circumstances. Yeah, exactly.
Somewhat.
So, I mean, if that's not an perfect example of how religion is bad for so many people and how it actually teaches you to treat those people horribly, and you can't say that Christianity doesn't do it, because Christianity does it too. So, yeah, it's just... that's spit your hot fire somewhere else.
If you put mud and spit in someone's eye, try that. Are you going to put that into practice? Well, no, that's going to be a really bad time.
Only Jesus can do it. Yeah. Only Jesus can do it.
Jesus got the special touch. Yeah, magical Jesus spit.
But I wonder though, if you had
collect it.
It would be funny to see. I'm interested to know though if people would actually let somebody do that to them. Like a Benny Hinn or one of these other guys, these healing preachers who, people believe that.
It wouldn't
people
shock
believe
me
these
if
guys.
it's happened.
If they said, "Look, I'm going to spit on the dirt and I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it on whether there's an eye or your wound or your unhealed leg."
It's coming from the Bible, man.
Would they let them do it?
It's biblical.
Some of them would. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
I want to see him put some spit dirt on someone's nub who's had a limb removed.
Make that grow back.
Make it grow back.
Well, that would be something.
That would be,
hey, look, you could convince me. I'm not saying I'm not. You could convince me. Absolutely. What you just said, if I was to, watch that happen in real time, man, you might convince me.
There would be more to it.
Convince you that God exists, so that it was done by God?
that
That's
some
one
higher
explanation.
something
possibility.
unknown to us made that happen, because there's no medical reason
Sure.
that you can ever come up with at this point to make that happen.
Our technology
right
is
now,
not
right?
that advanced.
Absolutely. Maybe one day we'll have Star Trek-like abilities to regrow limbs, you know, but we don't now. So yeah, if somebody was to right here tomorrow, and I went somewhere and they were able to literally regrow somebody's limb, and I could absolutely see it and say that wasn't magic, that wasn't an illusion, you know, that wasn't some sort of trick.
How would you?
I would have no choice but to
determine it
think
wasn't those things?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, I don't know. But I, you know, like I said, if I was convinced that somebody had grown a limb in front of my eyes, I mean, you know,
That's powerful.
sure. Bring.
That would
That's what I'm saying
definitely
is
be
bring
powerful.
it. Let me see it happen. If you want to convince me, make it happen.
That's step number one.
That would be step number one.
The
Then
thing-
you would have to convince me that it wasn't a trick.
Right. But the thing with psychology, when you experience something that is awe-inspiring, your brain doesn't process things in the same way. So if you have some extreme experience and at the same time you have someone explaining what that experience is, whether it's true or not, it's going to set in a little bit deeper because your brain will take in that, accept that answer initially, and then process whether it's something that's real or not, whether it's something that is reasonable.
So a lot of this faith healing in the church gets dealt with by the brain differently.
Yeah.
Because you have a maybe you're feeling the spirit. You got that community. You got the songs. Maybe you're handling snakes, jumping around, speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, man.
Jumping snakes.
I've handled snakes before.
And they jumped around.
They jumped around.
Oh, man.
You got to watch out. You got to watch out.
They're
I
leapy little
don't
critters.
handle snakes in any way, shape, or form.
I like snakes.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, people, y'all confuse me, man.
Well, the book
Snakes
is
I do not like.
the book is a very magical thing. It gives people the confidence and belief that it is quite possible for miraculous things to happen.
Yeah.
Just like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Avada Kedavra.
Okay, man. Well, on that note,
Kedavra.
I think we're going to wrap it up here, guys. I don't think
Harry Potter nerd.
I would love to see this guy spit hot fire. That would be funny. But as far as this Jesus mud, I'm saying it's
I am
not
unconvinced.
anything.
Yeah, it sounds very unsanitary. Don't let people spit in your eyes, guys.
Take it
It's
from
not-
us kids.
not.
Yeah.
That is not. But mud pies are a real thing. Be careful.
Yeah.
All right. Until the next time.
All right. See y'all later.
Have a good one.